without a clear picture of where you want to go, no one goes anywhere. So if the leader is not able to realize the vision and communicate the vision to everyone else involved, how can they even really keep everyone motivated and moving towards that vision? It's just like Stormy said, strategy is just as connected to success. Vision is connected to success. If you do not have a vision, what are you creating a strategy on?
Where do we start first now? Is it from the mission, and then to the vision, and then to the purpose, or maybe the purpose and then to the vision and therefore the mission?
Most of the time you're going to need some sort of outside help, someone who's disinterested in regards to what you have going on. Because oftentimes, as you lay out this strategy, it's so clear in one's mind. And the clearer it is in one's mind, the more difficult it is to draft it on paper. Hey there, this is Stormy Andrews, the creator of the world's best buyer persona system, top 50 tech visionary, and chief strategist for Breathe Experience.
Yeah, I'm Sean Andrews. So I am the founder of Breathe Experiences, and just a collaboration specialist.
That's interesting. So just before we started to record just now, was asking, okay, where is the conversation going to go? I said, we are going to be looking at how do we translate vision into reality, which is where many people might be having challenges today. And of course, I think you have always been like this, is that you have a vision, but how do you transform that vision into reality? Looking at maybe a first approach to that, how do you describe vision, Sean? That is the first question I would like to ask you.
It is so interesting because that is one of my favorite quotes, is that a leader has the ability to translate vision into reality. So it is very important focus, I think, of mine and actually how I lead the company. I believe that the first thing that you do, you have to identify, you have to be able to identify what that vision is. And there's a difference between vision and idea. An idea is a part of the vision, but the vision is the full picture of what you're really committed to. Then from there, the most important things are to have the right people in place to help hold you accountable, to help guide you, to help coach you if necessary. But that all comes back to honest communication, honest communication about what is your reality, difference from what you'll really commit to. And you, again, knowing the reality of your strengths. If I know your strengths, not just what you want, but knowing your strengths, then you know who you need to find or who you need to bring into the fold to help your vision become realized. I think that's the first part. So it's the identification, it's the honest communication of your strengths, and then finding the right people to help work towards it.
Thank you so much for that. That is valuable. That is really interesting. All right, for Stormy, how would you respond to that same question if that question were posed to you? Somebody doesn't even know where to start from. What is your response?
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of something that I refer to as documenting your journey, right? You have to document it. When I had my digital marketing agency, I had the opportunity of working with hundreds, if not thousands of businesses over, the 12 years of having that digital marketing agency. And I would ask the business owners, share with me your vision. Tell me what you want to do. And if I were to have ask that same question the same way over 10 days, I'd get a different answer each of those 10 days. And that's a problem. It's a huge problem. And it's not that the business owner doesn't know what's going on, but what happens, they have such a clear picture in their head. And as they go to describe it, they run into difficulty describing what that vision is, where they see that vision places them a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, or whatever. So I'm a big proponent. If you're going to bring your vision to life, if you don't document it, chances are it's not going to happen. And that's putting it in writing, making sure it's not just in writing, but that written and that documented, memorializing that vision on paper makes it real. It's no longer just a dream. It's no longer just something that's this pipe vision in the sky. And now when you share that vision with others, it's consistent, because what you're consistently sharing, it's what's written. If you bring others onto the journey, you can expand upon that documented piece, where that documented vision ultimately becomes a documented journey, because it becomes this living, breathing document that you can build upon from day one to years into the future.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, I want us to take a step back. Of course, this time I'm going to be asking Sean, in that we are talking now with the mind that we already have the vision in front of us. But what if we don't even have a vision? There are some times that we don't even have the vision. Okay, vision that would be the mirror that is sort of, or maybe the gauge that is sort of telling you where you are going on. You know, before the machine were developed that run on the road, we were having the horses, not the natural machine, you want to call it like that. So at that time, everything was fine for them. But now we have the machine. So the machine and the horse had to go on the same road as the people. So we don't want the horse to be distracted. So we give them the blinder so that, okay, you don't need to look at them, just focus on where you are going on. So if people have the vision now, they remove all the distraction around themselves. But not everybody have a vision. So for somebody who do not have a vision, what is your recommendation? Where should the person start from so that they can craft a kind of the blinder that is that guiding them towards where they want to go?
Well, I think that a lot of people have visions and they're not realized. And that is, again, a distinction between ideas and vision. And I think that's the biggest part is, one, a lot of times in society, we are conditioned to do what's normal or something that everyone else can see. But a vision is sometimes the imagination, the creativity, something that you haven't experienced or something that someone else has not experienced, but it's a big picture goal. And that's, again, difference between an idea. The ideas should help lead towards that big picture goal. And so the first thing is, one, looking for the vision. Is vision unrealized? So if we say we don't have a vision or thought, and again, listen, we're not all created equally. So if someone doesn't have a vision today, it is very much possible they'll realize it later. I just think the identification of it is real. That comes from motivation. It comes from experience. It comes from doing things. It comes from having time out to just explore, to have motive, to have imagination. And again, it comes from honest communication with yourself.
All right. Thank you so much for that. You see, this question really is very important for us, for me particularly. I'm saying that because we are developing a signature program that is about helping people to find their voice or their story at the end of the day. And within that training, we have a part that we call the vision or your life purpose. In that you are in business, but why? Okay, the money is a good thing, but money alone should not be the only reason why you are in business, you know? And so we're trying to say that you need to have a deeper meaning behind what you are doing. And to get this deeper meaning, you need to know yourself. Who are you? In line with where are you coming from? So all these are going to be very important for us within what is a vision and a mission in business. Now, this is also important probably because of the demographic that we are serving. I remember, for example, a couple of days ago, okay, maybe I should say weeks ago, I interviewed a professor on transpersonal psychology. So at the point, we're talking about Ifa theology. Ifa is a belief system that you find among the Yoruba people of Western Nigeria. So when he was explaining a series of things to me, he made mention of mission. In that when a child is born among the people that practice Ifa tradition in West Africa, or in Nigeria to be specific. At the 8th day, the elders will gather together and consult oracle. And what they are looking for is, what is the mission of this child in our community? So that you would have heard that it is said that it takes a village to raise a child. This is one of those things, that you don't leave it to the newborn baby to figure it out. That, okay, you are alive now, figure it out yourself. No, the community will work together to help you find the mission, to help you find what is the essence of you being here. And then he also says something very important that will always remain with me, that when you find your mission, you need to realize that it is not about you. Your mission is not to serve yourself, it's to serve other people. And he gave something, a very nice analogy to talk about it, that imagine the mango tree, for example, or any other crop for that matter. The mango tree do not eat the mango fruit. As part of your commission or part of your mission in life, you are supposed to support every other thing. Then they can also come to support you. In line with this, I want to ask questions to Stormy. When we are defining our mission, we are defining what is going to be that thing that we are, it's going to drive everything that we are doing. Okay, I know we are serving people. Now we're looking at our mission, no? What are the things that should be important to include? Because now we establish the mission is going to establish us. Because whatever it's like you are creating a constitution. Before you create a constitution, you are there. But when you create a constitution, the constitution becomes like more powerful than you because it directs your conduct. But you are the one that created the constitution. So help me with that. What should businesses put into consideration when defining their own mission?
Yeah, I think when a business or a person is defining their mission or they're defining their constitution, I think it's helpful to start with the end in mind, right? So whatever that end looks like, and then you start working your way backwards. And it's not the end in mind of what it looks like a year from now, but maybe we're thinking of if everything worked out perfectly and you're able to leave a mark on the world in a positive manner. What does that look like? And let's define that, because it's hard to get, it's impossible to get where you want to go if you don't know where you're going. So if you can lay that foundational piece down and then start working your way backwards. So like, what has to happen for you to achieve that mission or to achieve that constitution? What's what has to happen right before you can define success? And then you keep working your way backward. What has to happen before that? What has to happen before that? And eventually, if you stick with that exercise, you can work your way backwards to where you're at right now. But I certainly find it beneficial to define what success looks like, mark where you want to go so you know where you're going, and then work your way backwards on that journey. That tends to be a very helpful exercise to gain clarity and to provide the roadmap to move forward.
Thank you so much for that. Now, let's look at you. You run a business. Of course, you are a professional in this area. That is why we are talking to you, because we are trying to sort of pick your brain. We are trying to learn from you. There are many people there, they haven't been able to do what you are doing, but by listening to you, they will be able to move up from where they are. So in your business, at what point was it important for you to consider the mission? Share with us. What were those things that make you understand that at this moment, I need to establish this?
Yeah, so it's something, Sean is the one in the business that we're in right now. This was Sean's mission that was established. So I think it probably makes sense that you run with this.
I think that, but I think it's a little different because I'm very big on terms. Vision, mission are two different things. And I think that it was a vision that I had, but the mission has been a collaboration between all of our commitments. So I don't agree with that. And I think that's just a big thing to point out is, your vision, your mission, they're all very different. And even purpose is different from the mission. And if we don't define each one of them, we get lost. We get easily distracted. When things go well, we want to celebrate, but then we forget that also part of the process, when you're committed, things may not go well, and you should celebrate the losses as well. And as people, we found most business owners don't do that. The journey that Stormy speaks of, documenting the journey, we find that a lot of people document their journey, or they document their vision and their mission, their purpose, but then maybe put that document on a shelf and may not refer back to it. So then that's lost. The challenge that I think we have, and all business owners have, is to keep all of it alive. Everything is not just a document or just one thought. Everything is meant to get revisited, reviewed, assessed, and then adjusted. But I think we find too many times when things don't work, we have to change. We change in midair. We stop in midair. We have a new idea all of a sudden, and we haven't executed fully. I think that's the biggest thing. So for what we're doing now, indeed, the brand, as we've said, Breathe Experiences was inspired by a quote that says most people spend their lives developing wealth and have to return that wealth to regain their health. And so that created a vision that we had resources and we had support to help other people establish their vision and help to develop the mission and the steps to make. So I don't know I hope that helps, but that's the motivation, that's the inspiration, and that was the vision behind the brand. Now, our mission, we are fully committed to helping the acceleration of brands and companies. And that includes our own brand. All right. And so going back to the statement with the tree, we have a responsibility to others, but we also have the responsibility to ourselves. And it really goes in three parts. We have a responsibility to ourselves, to others, and to nature, God, universe, to all. If we forget about that, then, and if something gets lost, then no one wins. If we, just like that tree, if the tree doesn't continue to keep its roots healthy, then it can't provide any more fruit. And that is, again, our mission. We have to hold ourselves accountable, as our mission is to help hold others accountable.
Thank you so much for that. That is really very important. It's very important, those clarifications that you are making there. But talking about clarification, I would like you to spend a few more seconds on something that you have said that I think is very vital here, which is that there is a distinction between the mission, the vision, and the purpose. Could you spend some time there, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, you're crushing it.
Yeah, I mean, again, vision. So vision maybe vision starts with a dream. Maybe it starts again with imagination, but it is fully sometimes it's a untapped or an untraveled destination. And then the mission helps you, part of the mission is to fully commit. So we have a vision, and you can choose to accept, entertain, or really focus on that vision. So you choose first. Then your mission is what helps you commit. It is what helps you take that internal look. It's what helps you assess all that you've learned and understand how to apply it to fully say, here's what we are committed to doing. Just like you said, a constitution. What are the rules? What are the laws? What is the commitment? That's what the mission is. And then the purpose. The purpose, I hear a lot of people say, know and understand your why. I would say sometimes the why may not even matter, or you may not know the why until you've done it. And maybe the why is bigger than you. Maybe the why is, and it's all of the above. So I know that a lot of people focus on purpose first. Maybe that works. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the purpose of it all, as you learn more and you get to know more people and you've affected more people and more situations, maybe your purpose is even someone else's purpose. So I think the purpose is less clear if we accept the vision and develop the mission first.
All right, that's very interesting. Of course, that is something that also I would like us to say there for the sake of those that are listening to us. That where do we start first now? Is it from the mission, and then to the vision, and then to the purpose, or maybe the purpose and then to the vision and therefore the mission? Could you say something there in the sense of where should we concentrate on first so that, or could we get into it then we begin to figure it out? Is there any way we can maybe have first, second, and then third in line of seniority here, or in line of hierarchy, if you want to put it like that?
What I believe, and again, this is what I believe, and what I believe is based on my experiences, what I've found, and what wise people have shared with me. It is really knowing the vision first. And as Stormy said, documenting that vision, because we forget and we get distracted. But, and also, so it's vision. You set forth and you say, you know what, one of these days, my vision is to save lives. And then from that vision, you're able to, that's the big picture. From the big picture, you're able to see far, to come all the way backwards, to know how to walk forward. But I think that, I don't want to go so deep into a spiritual thing, but I really do believe that we all were given that sight at an early age from God, from your heart, beyond your parents, beyond everything that's on this earth. I do believe that there was something that was placed in us that we saw so clearly, and we may either veer away from it, or we start developing mistrust of ourselves, our own abilities, and then we sort of stop. Or maybe it's just so far, the vision is just so unique that we don't focus on it, and we start focusing on only the things that we can see, and we limit ourselves. So I think the first thing is having a vision, documenting the vision so you can revisit it when you do get distracted, or when you do forget, or when you do lose confidence, you come back to it. And knowing and trusting that the things that you do, the steps that you take, are possibly a part of the process to have that vision realized. So I think it starts with the vision. Vision, identifying, knowing, trusting, documenting the vision. And then you go back to developing your mission. Those are steps. It's the commitment. And then I've seen it so many times that the purpose may not even come until you're actually doing it. You have vision, you have mission. With mission, you have process. Process are the steps you follow. And again, those steps sometimes can lead you in places that you might not have imagined, or you're meeting people you may not have thought that you would meet. But if you're so committed to that vision, there's fluidity to it. I don't know how to go so deep into this without losing you, because it's deeper to me than what most people say. From again, what I've found and what I've experienced.
I want to add to that.
Please do.
I think purpose has two different parts, because I think based on our lives, right, based on our education, based on our personal experiences, and based on our belief systems, we start developing what our purpose is here on this planet, within this universe, in life, right? Sometimes we have no idea what it is except for feelings, right? We're doing something. Does that feel like it's right? Or does it feel like it's wrong? And that's going to be different for everyone based on those three elements that I gave you. So I believe that everyone walking the planet, or just about everyone, probably has some purpose, but for many of them, they have no idea what it is. They're just going through like a ship without a rudder, just flowing through the seas. And it's not until they determine what their own personal purpose is, where they can start creating that vision, which then allows them to determine that mission, and then find out, is that purpose in alignment, with the personal one that they couldn't describe, or the one they were unaware of. You know what I mean? Are they in alignment? And if they're in alignment, they tend to have, potentially success and happiness and joyfulness. But when they're not in alignment, that's when personal conflicts, or not personal conflicts, internal conflicts kick in because something's just amiss. So I think that personal piece there starts with this personal purpose until it leads to that, and then it leads to the purpose that comes after your after your vision and after your mission. So I break it into two different parts. I think there's a personal one that's internally, that's just based on your experiences, your education, and your belief systems. Then does it become in alignment with the purpose that you broadcast and share with the world?
Thank you so much for that. I think these are deep conversation, but they are important. And like Sean has said, it's a deep conversation. But I think they are important. They are fundamental in that one could really be having a lot of money, make a lot of success in business. If you don't have a deeper sense why you are doing that, you could actually be a danger to yourself. Now, this is where the conversation is coming from. So many people that I've interviewed, particularly in the United Kingdom, okay, this professor, for example, he would say that the UK is a capital of suicide in the world. Now, okay, in Europe, he will say Europe. Now, when you go to look at people that commit suicide, they're not always people that are very poor, that have nothing. Okay, so sometimes there are also people that have nothing. But this thing happens to people that are even successful, no? So the question, therefore, is what is happening here? What is happening here, according to him, is people feeling emptiness, but not emptiness in material things, emptiness inside, which is therefore what is supposed to guide our conduct.
I tell you what I just did, because both of you talking made me think about something. So I just looked up the word purpose as it's defined in the dictionary, whether a noun or a verb, formal and informal. And you both said something that sparked the answer. You said maybe it's starting off with a purpose, Stormy. And now I recant what I said about starting off with a vision. What if, and again, we're neither right or wrong, maybe, that's the part about life, is to explore this. But what if we don't need to search for purpose? What if the purpose is clear across the board, like you said, from our religious backgrounds, from our belief systems, from our upbringing? What if it's intended that we were created and our purpose is the same? And our purpose is so that we do our best for ourselves, our best for others, and the best for the universe. What if that was just it? It starts off there. And then if our vision is basically what we're going to do for ourselves, for others, and for the universe, and then the mission is how we're committed to doing it. So your question was awesome. I never thought about it like this, because I really have just sort of put it's simple. But because it is deeper, what if we explore that? Could that change so many life's problems and conflicts if it was just as simple as that, where we're really created, because that wasn't our choice. We're created for the purpose of doing our best for ourselves, for others, for our loved ones, for others, and also for the universe and for the world. Then that now puts a greater responsibility. It takes away the suicide, if you think about it, because when I have heard people saying, I didn't have a purpose, I didn't feel like I had a purpose, or when people get older, like, I don't know my purpose, because they stop doing for them, maybe they don't have any other loved ones to do for, and then they forget what they are to do for the world, even if it's just giving advice or adding a smile or a loving touch.
And let's think about that, as what Sean said. We all have a purpose, and hopefully the purpose for most is for the good of humankind. Let's put that in the aspect of a body, right? If we look at our body, we've got arms, we've got legs, we've got vital organs, we've got all sorts of things that make up a body allowing us to function. And maybe the purpose of my hand has a different purpose than my foot, which has a different purpose of my ear, right? But collectively, they work together for the betterment of this body. And if we were to think of planet Earth, if we were to think of humanity and all the creatures on the planet as part of the same body, it's finding out maybe we have some people that are misplaced, right? They're a hand, but they're acting as a knee, and there's no alignment there. They're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know my purpose because it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't connect. It doesn't make sense to me. So sometimes they have to go through, and if they find their purpose, right, what vital organ, or in some cases, it's not a vital organ, but where on this body do they make the most sense? And unfortunately, society, family, friends, with the best of intentions, point them in a direction that's not in alignment with their purpose. So what happens is they're living a life for others because others say, this is what you're supposed to be, and you're great at it, and this is awesome. And they give them these accolades for them to be this particular organ within a body, but it's not in alignment with them. And unfortunately, some of them go down the path. They play the role. They act as if they are this vital organ in society that they're clearly not. And then they just find out that, or they feel that they're just hopeless. And maybe that's where suicides come from. But if they were able to step back and explore where they will play a role that gives them the greatest level of fulfillment, well, if someone's fulfilled and they're living their purpose, it seems awfully unlikely that someone that is living their purpose, right, the organ that they're supposed to be in this universe, it's unlikely that they would want to kill themselves because they always feel that there's something the next day that's even greater than what they've done the day before.
Thank you so much. I want to thank both of you for your contribution. This is really, really valuable. And this is why we are here. We really take this thing on a deeper level. Of course, we are not going to go there today because otherwise we don't talk about the second part of it, which is the realization of your vision, of your purpose, of why you are here. But there is really a lot of things that is attached to that. We must understand this one we are talking about before we can understand the second part, which is the manifestation or realization of what you are doing. Because if that part is not clear, the second part also will only be on the surface. So I think that was really important, the conversation that we have up to this point. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I appreciate also the thinking, because we are thinking, we are human beings, we are thinking a lot sometimes, and we're supposed to do this. Otherwise, we will just be regurgitating what we have read or maybe what we have heard some people. We are also called upon to reflect, to use the energy that we have. So I thank you. I really appreciate that. All right. Now let's talk about the strategy. Because now you know what we are supposed to do. You know, that analogy that you gave is really very beautiful of the body, that these eyes and this mouth are not the same thing. If the eyes is doing the function of the mouth, that guy is going to be crazy. Because we're not designed to do that.
Yeah.
But if the eyes fail to function, the mouth will suffer. So I think it is really very important that we understand this purpose. This is what is my function here. And I want you to reflect back again to why those elders in Ifa theology have to sit down to find out, okay, but why? What are you here for? That is a child. It is important that it's understood so that they can sort of guide you in the right way. All right, I'll leave that there. Now, the strategy. What should we do now that we know what we are supposed to do? Because why I'm putting this question like this, the diamond and the gold are like the dust of the earth, like every other dust. Just for the fact that it is known as a diamond is not going to make it shine. It needs to be refined before it can shine. And when it's shining now, if you put it back to the dust, you see that it's different. Like it's not like every other dust. So I want us to spend some time on the how. Now that you know what you are supposed to do or what you are supposed to contribute, you are not going to be able to do it just immediately. But what do you do at that point? Any of you can respond.
Yeah, you may take it away. So, you know what? Using the example of the diamond, right? We've all heard the terms that there's a diamond in the rough. And what happens? What brings the brilliance to the diamond? Well, first you have to mine the diamond. You've got to find it, right? Now you find this diamond and you have this dark material that you're looking at. So what do you do next? Well, next you cut it, right? Let's cut the diamond, let's shape it. Then after you do that, you polish it. You've got three elements, right? You got a trifecta that's happening to bring that diamond to life. You're mining it, you're cutting it, and you're polishing it. And the same thing happens here. There's also a trifecta to bring the strategy to life. So first, the first element, right? You have to document your strategy. Let's write out what the strategy, what you believe it is. And once you document your game plan, not necessarily you document your game plan. Well, now you have to determine what's the second part of the trifecta. How about determining what wins and losses looks like, right? And that's determining whether you want to call it KPIs, wins and losses. But when you do something right, how are you keeping score of the game? Do you know if you scored? Do you know if you committed a foul or a penalty? Do you know if what you're doing is correct? So you have to identify the boundaries and define what wins and losses look like. And the next thing you have to determine, once you've done that, what tools and tactics, do you need? What tools do you need to accomplish that? Oftentimes, when Sean and I, we dive into businesses, we'll ask for those specific questions. Let's see your business plan. Let's see your strategy. Let's see your documented journey, your game plan, your marketing plan, whatever it may be. Oftentimes they don't have it. So there's strike number one. Then, but let's say they do have it, which is awesome. Then we're like, okay, what do wins and losses look like? How do you know if you're winning? How do you know if you're losing? Oftentimes, if they have the business plan and their documented strategy, they don't have that piece. And that's a problem. And then we define, once we have that, what tools and tactics have you identified that need to be employed for you to win the game? If we think about, games of football or in America, we call it soccer, right? What are some tools and tactics we need? Well, first thing we need a ball, right? We need a ball that we're going to kick. That's round, that's a certain distance. We need a field that's identified with markers, right? We need referees, that are keeping score of the game, and maybe the right cleats and equipment and so forth. So identifying those, having a written strategy. And remember, just because you identify and you lay out a written strategy today doesn't mean based on new knowledge that you gain in this journey, you can't add to it, because certainly you can. Maybe the rules of the game changes, and that allows you to modify it accordingly. So yes, what that belief is, it's a trifecta again, just like that diamond. What's the documented journey? Let's see that it's got to be in writing. What do wins and losses look like, right? That's got to be clearly identified, and what tools and tactics are going to get employed. Do you agree with that? Do you have anything to add?
I've got a question for you. Then, of course, I'm going to have a question for Sean too, when it comes to leadership and vision. But there is a question I have for you also, Stormy. In that sometimes terms are not very clear for people. That is why we need an expert like you to help them understand. And I'm really very keen on this sometimes, because when people hear things, they don't even understand what it means. They think they do, but they don't, no? So, but even when they do, it is good that we explain continuously so that at least you're not going to miss it. Okay, this is a strategy that I adopt. Just now, we just finished a webinar where we have different people speaking. Then I told them why I thought this approach, because we talked about the role of neuroscience in storytelling. So we got the scientists from different parts of the, particularly in the US, where we talked about storytelling. So I said, when I write in my books, particularly those that have nothing to do with when I'm writing my non-fiction books, I will establish a theme, an idea. Then throughout the chapters of the book, I will list this idea into it. And I said, somebody could criticize me for this. I said, but that is a repetition. Why are you repeating things? And I said, I am doing this intentionally. I want to make sure that people don't miss it. Because when you say one thing one time, you read this risk of forgetting it. So what I mean by that is that one of the other words that is actually studied in this conversation today is strategy. This is almost like a buzzword in business today, no? That is what we say almost all the time, but do we really understand that? So I'm begging you, Stormy, to help us clarify that. When you say strategy, what does it mean? Can you explain it? Yeah, please.
Okay. So, one, when it comes to strategy, and I'm adamant on this, unless you're an extraordinary individual, and I'm getting to the definition, I'm taking a long way
Please.
around it. So let me clarify that, right? When you're developing your strategy, unless you're just an extraordinary individual, most of the time you're going to need some sort of outside help, someone who's disinterested in regards to what you have going on. Because oftentimes, as you lay out this strategy, it's so clear in one's mind. And the clearer it is in one's mind, the more difficult it is to draft it on paper. And we find that over and over again. And guess what? We're proficient at it, and we're developing a strategy. We need outside helps because sometimes you're in the jar. So imagine that you have this jar of food inside the jar, right? And from the outside, you can see the label and you can read the ingredients and everything. But if you're inside the jar, you just see the back. You just see the inside of that label. You can't see it. So the closer you are to it, generally, the more help you need. But a strategy is, I like to think of it as a playbook, and I like to use analogies. So, and stories that people can relate to. You're the storyteller, so we use stories. So one of the analogies I like to use that I think most people can relate to, if we think of sports, and if we think of whatever the sports are, the coaches have a playbook. And that playbook is a document where they're flipping through the pages. So if X, Y, and Z happens on the field, they know the page that they can turn to adequately react to that X, Y, and Z. Now, in an ideal scenario, that playbook is so well defined, they're not reacting, right? They're not reacting because everything they do is working to plan. They have this person working harmoniously with the next person and all the other parties involved. So what a strategy is, to work our way backwards, in my mind, it's a playbook that you can share with all parties involved. So as all parties are working on the progression towards the goal or what the end looks like in mind, at least there's a document that everyone is working off the same playbook. They're working the same plans. They're working hopefully the same strategies. Even if someone veers off, they have they've got an underlying principle. They have a foundation that can bring them back into place. The clearer that playbook is, I guess the more clearly defined that playbook is as it relates to the plays and the strategy of winning the game, the better off all team members are in regards to working collectively and synergistically together. Imagine this for just a second. Imagine you had a sports team and the coach didn't have a playbook. If every play the coach had to point in the direction to tell everyone what they needed to do, that would be pandemonium. They would have no chance of success playing against a team that has a clearly defined playbook. So what the strategy is, in my mind, is a playbook that articulates the plays of what you should be doing, but also lays out what you should do if something that wasn't expected to happen happens. And the reason it has to be written so you can share it with all the members of the team. And the reason that sometimes you need outside help to put that together is because you're in the jar. And it's difficult if you're in the jar to get that vision from the outside looking in. It's almost impossible unless you're an extraordinary person, because if you're in the jar, you can't see what's on the outside. So getting that help of someone to help clarify your thoughts, that helps create a better strategy. Did that make sense the way I explained it in that particular story?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you, Stormy. Thank you for that. Now, sure, let's look at a leader who we are telling to have a vision. And this leader doesn't understand yet the importance of that. Actually, we're talking to businesses. Why should they have a vision? And how should that vision maybe direct their operative within business? What do you have to say about that?
Again, without a clear picture of where you want to go, no one goes anywhere. So if the leader is not able to realize the vision and communicate the vision to everyone else involved, how can they even really keep everyone motivated and moving towards that vision. It's just like Stormy said, strategy is just as connected to success. Vision is connected to success. If you do not have a vision, what are you creating a strategy on? You're constantly changing your plan. You're constantly, you're not executing fully. So, but if you again have that vision and you're protecting the vision, you're communicating the vision, and you're not necessarily changing the vision. That's the big picture. You haven't gotten there yet. You're keeping that consistent, the same. You're able to measure and change the steps or the actions that you take within the strategy. But without a vision, you don't have anything. It's almost like having a puzzle. You can have all these puzzle pieces, idea what the finished projects look like, then you can connect pieces in all different forms, and you can continuously create different images from these puzzle pieces. So it's very important to have that big picture.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I really do. All right. Now, what if you were to give somebody some kind of direction to take? Now that they have a vision, they also understand the importance. About are there some step that maybe okay, now maybe you can use your business as an example. Are there some step to take so that as they are moving towards the direction of the vision? No? Because if you are moving from LA to California, you are going to take the train or the flight that is moving from LA to California. If you take the one that is going to Washington, or I don't know, that is going to another direction, you're going to end up there. So it means your vision is useless then. So what are the steps to take so that your vision is guiding you correctly?
I think that's where the strategy comes in. And again, knowing exactly where you're going, big picture, no matter how long it takes and process over time, we're going to get there. And let me see something going on process over time. What we found is a lot of people, a lot of companies and brands will have a vision, then they're distracted by ideas. And if something is taking, quote unquote, too much time, they tend to want to turn back. And even after they've developed a strategy or they've committed to a mission, they tend to put so much of an emphasis, whether it's out of necessity, because again, we need success and money is not everything, but success is still, money is still a part of success in many ways. It's the part that helps businesses continue to go. So out of necessity, perhaps people need money right away and they're like, oh no, it's not working. It's taking too long. Let me turn back. And it's easier, as some people say, to deal with the devil you know, not the devil you don't know. So they don't want to keep going down a road. They don't want to, or they get struck with a detour. So they get struck with a detour and it's like, oh no, I'll never get there. And we found that that's one of the challenges that we have as consultants and as a firm to provide the solutions and services. We're constantly trying to keep them moving towards the vision and not turning back or not just giving up and going to another idea. So I think, it is a challenge. It's a journey, as they say. If using your same analogy, if we're going wherever you're starting from and you're getting to California, you have a laid out plan, you have a map, you have an understanding of where you're going, and you have a beginning, you have a starting point, and you have, based on the knowledge that is provided or what you may know, you have a map that draws out the road. And sometimes the roads are straight and sometimes they're winding. Sometimes a road is in construction. But if you turn back, you'll never get to the vision. If you stop, you'll never get to your vision. You'll never know what was going to work if you don't continue.
Thank you so much for that. All right, I've got a question about strategic vision. But anyway, that is going to be for Stormy. But Stormy, hold on a bit. I still got another question for Sean. And this has to do with the people that you are serving, your business, your client. And the question is, what are they complaining about as to why they are not able to translate their vision into reality? Because this is what I think business do. if all the people that you are working with already find solution to their problem, you are not a business, you cannot be a business to solve a problem that's already solved. The problem is there. That is why the people are coming to you. But what are they complaining about? Why can't they just solve the problem?
I think it goes to understanding, misunderstanding, and resources. Again, if your resource, if your greatest asset or necessity is money, or your necessity is time, or your necessity is belonging, then it is so easy to get distracted, and distraction leads to frustration, and frustration leads to just quick changes, getting off course from the strategy, deviating from the plan, breaking commitments, just giving up, or just going to something else. I think the biggest part is truly not committing, and trusting the process.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Of course, I'll come back to that later when I'm going to be asking for solution, because the solution are important for us too. All right. Just tell me, can we even think about maybe having a strategic vision for our business or in our business where we can say we are really very strategic in the kind of vision that we have for our business? What would you say about that? Can we even think about that?
Yeah, you know what? There's a question that I learned from a previous business partner of mine, and it was a brilliant question. And I've started using that, right? I use it all the time now. And the question is, if we were sitting here and we're having a strategic, let's say the two of us were having a strategic vision conversation, one of the first questions I would ask you is, if we were sitting here at this table, if we were sitting here on this call right now, 1 year from now, what would have had to have happened in order for you to say, our meeting, our relationship, the guidance that I'm providing you was a success? What would have had to have happened? Well, then what happens is oftentimes I'm left with blank stares because they don't know how to answer the question. So when they can't answer the question a year out, well, I'm like, well, listen, I'll make this statement. Well, if you can't answer the question, what would have had to have happened a year from now? How can I possibly help you? How can anyone help you? Remember, this is up to you to identify what success looks like. And then once I hear that answer, then I have the ability of determining if what your vision is realistic or not. Mm-hmm. But let's say in the scenario you do have an answer, and the answer is sounds realistic, or maybe it sounds unrealistic, but I need to prove to you that it's unrealistic. I'll hear that answer. And maybe you say something like, I need to sell 1 million widgets a year from now, above and beyond what I'm selling today, in order for this relationship to be successful. So then I'll start, because sometimes people have to come up with their own conclusions. I'm like, okay, 1 million widgets. So what would have to happen 11 months from now, right? 10 months from now, 9 months from now, 8 months? What has to happen in the next 30 days? And sometimes those unrealistic expectations starts to break down, and then reality sets in. Because unfortunately, as a consultant, sometimes we can share things based on our collective knowledge of understanding of businesses that and scenarios that we've been a part of dozens of times. And the business owner or leader, they just don't want to accept it. So when it comes to strategic vision, sometimes we allow them to come up with the correct answer by guiding them through it, because sometimes the correct answer or the right answer or the more right answer is not in alignment with what they said originally. So we'll run them through that little exercise. So this way it puts us on the right footing. Then and only then can we have a strategic vision conversation, because maybe after we've gone through that exercise, it's no longer 1 million widgets. Now it turns to, okay, I just need to sell 10,000 widgets. You know what I mean? And that was an answer that they've come up with on their own without us having to do so. Because we'll have challenges there. Okay, if this needs to happen in 10 months, how do you think we'll get there? Because you don't have any money to do the marketing. How do you think we'll do that? Okay, I guess you're right there. We'll ask the tough questions along their way, working our way backwards. You're about to say, add to that, Sean?
Add to that. I think that is number one. People can say what they want, and they see these models of the finished product from others. but they haven't paid attention to the journey that even others have gone through. So they're not thinking about the process and the commitments and the steps that they need to take. It's almost like there's this magic wand that's supposed to take place to get to this amazing finish line without assessing the reality of what they can provide. I think that's one of the big problems.
We've actually had a scenario where someone had some outlandish number, not to give up their business, but it would be the equivalency of 1,000 widgets. Well, then we go through this exercise and they realize that, okay, a year later from now, if I sell one widget, that would be a success. That's a huge difference because they realized they were so far away, right, that they went from 1,000 widgets or the equivalency thereof to maybe one widget because there was so much work that needed to be in place, or they realized that, you know what, this just wasn't right for me because I don't see how I can get to month 2 based on this conversation. Okay, now we have some realistic milestones and you're better off for it, we're better off for it, because here's what happens. If we don't go through those questions and then we just say, yes, let's do this. Well, now a year later down the road, now they're looking at us with their eyes all red because nothing has transpired the way that they had hoped. We didn't even know what they were hoping to have happen, right? We could think we're doing the best things, getting them set so they can get to the starting line. So having questions like that in the beginning is a great place for strategic vision. And then what happens is you can do that exercise for those of you that are listening to this podcast and you're like, okay, how do I do this? Sit there with a friend, have the friend ask you, whatever your goal is, what would success looks like a year from now? And then work your way backwards, 11 months, 10 months, 9 months. Are they in alignment? If not, well, then maybe you should update or change it accordingly. And that's an exercise you can do with us. You can do it without us, but it's an exercise you should absolutely do.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I really do. For businesses that are looking for clarity, okay, this is for Sean. For businesses that are looking for clarity about their vision, because, okay, now, one thing is to have a vision. Another thing is to have a really very clear vision. Now, for a business leader, for example, or somebody who wants to have a clear vision, what would that person need to do? Okay, we understand for the client perspective now, looking at what Stormy has shared. But say maybe a business person who is a leader still didn't get it. What are some of the things that they need to do?
I think it's one, honest communication first, honest communication with yourself, and trust what you see. If you can't trust what you see, and having that faith or that belief in what you see, then there's nothing else that you can do. Again, vision is not something that you make. It's something that you have to realize. It's there. It's already there. You just have to realize it. You have to see it. You have to trust what you're seeing. I think, again, we're conditioned to see what is put in front of us, not what's within us. And we might confuse vision with sight. Sight is a physical thing. Blind men have vision and have created some of the most beautiful and impactful things of our human culture. So I really just think it's I think the exercise is to start someone with having the ability to have an honest communication with themselves and trusting what they commit to.
Nearly about an hour here talking about this important conversation, which of course I found very important because a lot of businesses, they need to have this clarity. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for them to move forward. All right. First, would you like people to connect with you, your business, those who want to learn more about what we have discussed today?
Sure.
The easiest way to connect with us is to visit our link tree, which is SeanandStormy.com. That's Sean, SHAWN, and AND, Stormy, STORMIE.com. If you go to SeanandStormy.com, you'll have links where you can connect with us on LinkedIn. You'll have links to, if you want to check out one of our books, you'll have our all the resources you need to connect with us. That's the easiest way to do it. SeanandStormy.com.
You were making mention of the book. You didn't finish that. I think people are interested in that book. Can never be over-publicize that book. Yeah. I don't know that is completely different, but anyway, sure. You want to say anything about the book?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, truly, the book is brainchild of Stormy here. It's called The 21 Laws to Keep Your Woman in Check. And it really is a satirical piece. It was designed to open a conversation, and it truly opens conversation about communication, about understanding, and it's relationships. It's a relationship book, and in a roundabout way, you can apply it in business as well. It truly is about couples, relationships, marriage. But you think about it, your relationship with a spouse or your style, the message is still clear. It's look, honest communication, teamwork and partnership, and humor. And in any relationship, that those three things should lead. A leader should lead with those three things. So,
And
So-
I just want to throw in something.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always get a Sean, can you say the title again? I get a kick whenever you say it.
the 21 laws to keep your woman in check.
Yes, I do get a kick out of that one.
I love that.
I'm so curious to see what your audience, male and female, what they have to say after hearing us, getting to know us more, and then reading the book, because it takes, just like everything else, don't judge a book by its cover. So it does take to dive deep and getting some feedback. I'm so curious to see what feedback they'll give you.
Absolutely. That is lovely. That is lovely. And of course, the book is available on Amazon, and also it's available on the Sean and Stomia website. And of course, the link tree, like they have mentioned, so you can check it out anywhere. And when you do read it, please share with us. We are interested in your feedback. All
Yeah,
right, Sean,
absolutely.
we'll start with you. What is your final take here on the conversation?
Learning. Listen, we learn, we grow, you continue to live, and having the ability to learn and apply, share this knowledge with others is such a blessing. And every time we've had a conversation with you, we have you've asked us questions, which again helps us look inward, and we've learned from you. So thank you for allowing us to have the opportunity to learn and grow.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. All right, Stomia, what do you say? What is your final thought here to conclude the conversation of the day?
Yeah, I'm right there with Sean. We dove into some pretty deep topics, right?
Yeah.
Some on a high level, some we went a little bit deeper. And even though we were having the conversations where it was the three of us collectively speaking, this is something where I learned a ton, even through some of the words that were coming out of my mouth, because maybe they were words that I haven't consciously thought about in a while. And there were insights that you provided, that Sean provided, different perspectives. And so it leads right back to what Sean has said. It's learning. It's never closing off your mind to new ideas and new concepts, or maybe even the same concepts that you heard previously,
Yep.
but maybe you just hear it a different way this time.
Thank you so much for that. All right, that is it. It will really be an interesting conversation today. And I believe it's not the last one, of course, because we're always here. So why not? We can only talk about other things that you're doing. So I appreciate the time and also the sharing here. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay.